Good morning, good afternoon, no matter what time. This is going to be another full circle interview for me. There are many people throughout my doctoral journey that guided, motivated, inspired me to be great and didn't accept anything less. I'm Dr. Lett. Welcome to I'm Dr. Lett, the podcast. I'm honored to be joined by Sonia. Wait, let me correct that. Dr. Karkare. It is an honor to be joined by a fellow graduate of the EDD program at the Kent State University. Without further ado, Doctor, please introduce yourself.
Well, good morning and good afternoon and good evening to anyone wherever you're joining from. As Dadaril said, my name is Dr. Sonia Karkare. I am a Kent State alumna. I'm also a Kent State staff member currently with the Civic and Community Engagement team with the Center for Student Involvement. And I'm also an instructor with the College of Business and Entrepreneurship at Kent State University and a fellow graduate, as Dadaril said. Dr.
Yes,
Lett said.
yes, thank you so much for that outstanding, amazing introduction. As we both just mentioned, you earned a doctorate in education from the greatest institution in the state of Ohio. Tell us about your doctoral journey and what moments stand out from that experience.
Absolutely. Thank you for that question. First of all, I'd like to start by saying that this was a passion project. It was a story that I believed I had to say and talk about. I had sort of returned to Kent State after a 30-year career in digital transformation in the nonprofit and humanitarian world. I had been the former director of digital transformation for Doctors Without Borders in West Africa. I had also been leading global technology projects, digital transformation projects with Doctors Without Borders in Europe, as well as with the American Red Cross and the Global Fund. So I had this whole career behind me before I came back to Kent, to the city of Kent, to sort of settle down, get some roots. And I had collected a journey, just so many stories along my journey. And I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to do something about it. And so I think that I had the topic in my mind from the very day that I stepped into Kent. And I happened to just find a program that fit my topic. So it was never the other way around. It was like, this is my story. This is a journey. This is something I want to do something about. Where's the program that can, validate it or legitimize it in some ways? And so the EDD program that was established at Kent about 6 years ago, I think, seemed to be the perfect fit. So that's one thing. The second thing is you told me what moments stand out from the experience. So when I first met my advisor, Dr. Astrid Sambulin Morales, in a coffee shop at Kent, one of the few things she asked me was, "Oh, do you want this to be a qualitative study or a quantitative study?" And I looked at her with a bewildered expression, not knowing exactly what that meant. So I said both, just because, didn't know what the right or wrong answer was. Of course, it ended up being a qualitative study. And then there was one other moment that I thought was very, very interesting. That was at the end of the program in the last class that you and I both took, a little bit, the systems thinking class. In that class, I learned about the iceberg model, which is a 4-level model that helps you examine complex societal structures like organizations. That model just clicked in my head so well that I introduced it into my conceptual framework in the thesis and the research. And so, it was this one moment in the beginning, one moment at the end. And of course, in between, there were two classes that made a big difference to me. And that was the qualitative analysis class with Dr. Nees and the multicultural competency class with Dr. Morales. So these really did affect me, impact me, and made a big difference.
Yes, thank you so much. And what's really interesting is that Dr. Karakar and I would have moments throughout our program where we're stressing about life, discussion posts, papers, just everything in between. So
Yeah.
this is an incredible full circle moment now to look back and think those lunch working meetings, those coffee meetings, they all mattered. as I've highlighted throughout each and every one of my interviews, relationships matter. Build and foster relationships with amazing people, and you will have amazing results. I
Yes,
promise.
yes. I
Now,
agree. I agree.
your career has spanned roles such as you alluded to, nonprofit executive leadership, college student engagement coordinator. You've always remained grounded in your cultural identity. Why has it been important to maintain your cultural identity in all spaces?
This is such an important, such a timely question as well. And thank you for asking again. So I'd like to say that for me, cultural identity is in my DNA. It's the roots, it's my foundation. That really cannot be taken away from me, and it should not be given away either. You know, so to me, it was important to recognize and find opportunities where I could share it in a manner without offending the majority, because the only place on earth where I was never minoritized was the country of my birth, which is India. Everywhere else that I've worked and have had the fortune of working and being given opportunities to be gainfully employed, I was always in the minority of numbers. And so I thought that this is one way to spread awareness, to talk about where I came from. And then I also formed my own way of thinking that inclusion is a two-way street. It isn't always just about, a majority trying to help bring in a minority. It's also the other way around, where as a minoritized population, you find a space to be able to say, this is about me, this is where I come from, these are the things about my past, about my culture, about my identity that I want to share with you, that will help enhance you as well. And I think that is a power. That's a very powerful statement to be able to make.
Yes.
And I think that's why it was important for me to, for example, at my defense that you attended, and I appreciate your presence there, I wore my national, sari. I wore a sari. I wore the things that mattered to me and my cultural identity, or wherever I get an opportunity to be recognized, I try
Yes.
to bring that in a space that people know that it's important to me. That is so important. When I honor that, it gives me a sense of great pride, accomplishment, and it's a mark of respect to my elders, to the country I come from, to the values instilled in me.
Yes. Doctor, amazing response. And you are one that stays true to your cultural identity in all spaces, which also, I would say, allows others to feel comfortable with themselves. And so, thank you for that.
Thank you.
I'm going to give your entire family their flowers because your family, it's full of doctoral degree holders.
Yes.
What does it mean for you to be added to that?
So I'm imagining my mother, my sister, and myself in an elevator with others. And if somebody says Dr. Karkare, all three of us are going to look at them and say, which one? So that's really beautiful. My mother, Dr. Ishwari Karkare, is a PhD in botany from India in 1963, 63, 64. She blazed the trail for all of us, first in the family on both sides, her side, my father's side. My sister is the eldest grandchild, Dr. Sujata Karkare. She is an MD PhD. So not only is she a doctor of philosophy in anatomy, she's also trained as a doctor in India and our practices in this country. And I'm a doctor of education. So I'd like to say something that I grew up knowing that education is a power, is something that cannot be taken from you. It was also always instilled in me as being a daughter in an Indian family, raised by very, very forward-thinking parents, that we will educate you to the best of our ability, so that no matter what, no matter where, you will be able to earn a living and be independent, financially independent. So I think that was something that
Wow.
always something that I had on my mind and on my radar. This doctoral degree had nothing to do with something that affected my livelihood or that my entire professional path was going to be impacted by. This was, as I mentioned, a passion project. But when I found a story that I had to tell, it involved Asian women leaders. As you know, the topic was navigating impact. How do Asian women leaders perceive the roles of leadership styles and organizational contexts in the nonprofit sector? I was in some way giving a nod to my mother, to my
Wow. Yeah.
sister, to my friends from this community who are the wind beneath my wings in many ways. And so there was never a competition. There was never a mandate in the family, oh, that you need to be also a doctor. It just happened that this was in my fate. And at this stage and this age of my life, and my mother is thrilled. She is incredibly proud. In fact, I sent her the first draft of my thesis saying, I want you to just take a look at this. I know the content is very different from your background. And she was so, she's in her 80s, and she did look it over. And she says, I can't imagine, like, this is a completely different field, but you've put in so much work. I can see it. And, when I got her, what should I say, her approval, I was done. So it was very beautiful. It was a very, very wonderful thing to share. And I had a very strong motivation to make sure that my parents saw me achieve this passion project in their lifetime.
Yes, thank you. Now, I will put Dr. Karakare's contact information in the description. With that, be on the lookout for her incredible dissertation. I will say the doctor was prepared to defend a year ago. There were just logistics that had to work out. It was an amazing
Thank you.
piece of literature that will just guide so many people around the world. With that, you're going to visit your home country soon. What are you most excited about that visit?
This is going to give you a chuckle. I have bought my cap and gown, as most of us have, for an August commencement, and I'm going to take that cap and gown to India, and I'm going to take pictures with my parents before the commencement, because they will not, be able to travel here in time for it. And of course, travel from India to the United States is an arduous journey for people in their 80s. So that's the one thing I'm really looking forward to. I'm also looking forward to, seeing the Arabian Sea, looking at the Gateway of India, which are some of the landmarks of Mumbai, which is my birth town, my hometown. Obviously eating food with my parents, eating food from India with my parents, and of course being part of their routine. One of the things that I treasure the most is making chai in the morning for my mom and dad. I think that's a very precious moment of me being able to express my love, and for them to be able to be given the luxury of a cup of tea in their hands, very often that they have to make on their own when I'm not there or my sister's not there visiting them. So those are the few things that I'm really looking forward to. And it's going to be a rainy season, so having tea in the rainy season is a very comforting thing. So I'm looking forward to that.
I love that. That is incredible. And I will say, I look forward to looking at all of the pictures and videos that you post.
Absolutely. I'm going to do that.
Yes. Now, for any woman inspired by your research, but they're afraid to apply your framework for various reasons, what advice or encouragement would you give them?
Absolutely. One thing that I have learned is never to do anything from a place of fear. So I always want people to understand and know and truly feel that they need to do things and take steps always from a place of choice, which is a place of power. So whether you recognize it immediately or not, you do have a choice. You do have a choice to do something or not. Do it if you want to, don't do it if you don't, right? So the thing I'd like to say is that, if you, let's say you do embark upon a journey of a doctoral degree, and somehow along the way you're presented with life's various twists and turns, and you're unable to do it, it is not a failure. It is not something that you should feel sadly about, that you weren't able to accomplish. You can always do it later. What I'm trying to convey here is that we each need to learn to live from a place of deep contentment, and a place of, again, a place of choice. Because unless you are absolutely poverty stricken, or with a deadly disease, etc., we are all waking up, we're all able to function, we're all able to go out there, do things in the world. So there's nothing that needs to be given so much of importance that it ruins your peace in any way. Which is what I'm trying to say, is never do anything from a place that is causes fear or makes you lose your peace. Which is why when I chose to do this project, I had always been, somehow along the way, people had all people, some important people in my life at the time had mentioned to me, oh, you might not be able to do a doctoral degree because your focus and attention cannot last for that many years on one topic. Because I've always done various projects across the world with different organizations, and my career has seen different jobs taken up with different places. And so I said, but how can you make a judgment like that on me? Why do you think I can't? Why would you even say that to somebody? And so when the opportunity came up, I just chose to do it. I got into the program and I stuck with it and finished it. But it wasn't something that was arduous, not something I had to prove to anybody. It came at the right time when I knew I could finish it. So I feel like people, when you talk about women, or you talk about anybody else, I just want people to know that whatever is happening right now, in your life, is the space where you're meant to be. Do the best you can with it, and then as new opportunities come up, be attuned to looking at where they are. How I found out about this program was through a very simple, random statement made by a person I was introduced to on Kent State campus, and I was introduced to them through my networking, and they mentioned, what their job was, and then they said, "Yeah, I'm also doing my doctorate." I said, "Wow, what are you doing it, and how come you're doing it? You're working?" And she goes, "Yes," and that was actually Dr. Tabitha Messmore, who's a person I acknowledge in this journey of mine, and she says, "Yeah, I'm also doing it." And I'm like, okay, I kept it at the back of my mind and followed up on it. So it was meant for me to hear that, to follow up on it, and take up the degree. And if it hadn't been for this conversation, I would have never found out about it. So, think about the conversations you're having with people, and look at what you're hearing, and follow your heart. Follow wherever you feel you need to go, and your intuition.
Now, I will say, I do believe in that. For me, I really had to ensure that I had the correct mindset going into this program.
Yes.
Believing in networking, believing in mentorship, believing in the power of community. When Dr. Karkare and I met each other, because for context, our program is entirely online. We have cohort mates that are across the world. We were fortunate enough to both work at the same institution. And when we met, I said to myself, she looks familiar, but I wasn't certain. And I walked up, I introduced myself, and I said, the worst that can happen is this is a complete stranger that looks at me
Exactly.
like I crossed my mind. But it was my amazing cohort mate, and we connected, and we have really supported each other throughout the journey. And there are countless stories of adversity and obstacles and moments where we had to lean on each other because we thought to ourselves,
Yeah.
is this really worth it at this point in our lives?
Mm-hmm.
The answer resoundingly yes. And here we are. So an incredible full circle moment. And
And thank you for coming up that day. Thank you for being so brave and trying to recognize a person from a picture. That's all you had seen of me.
this is the moment that I've been waiting for in this interview, because as I've alluded to throughout this interview, Dr. Karkare has been amazing to me personally, professionally, and academically. As a hero to so many women across the world, how does that make you feel?
I I know this may sound very tacky, if that's a word, but I don't always know that. I don't always know that I'm a hero to somebody, because that's a very important role in someone's life. So I thank you for assuming that, and I'm grateful to be recognized as such. I continue to live a life of as much authenticity as I can. The path hasn't been easy. It still isn't easy for me, but I have been so blessed with community, with family backing, and with in my opinion, if I may say so, divine protection and guidance. And I take that very seriously. So when you ask me this question, I don't know how to answer that. I don't know how to, tell you how I feel if I'm someone's hero, because I can only try and make sure that my life serves as an example. That's what I would hope for. That it serves as an example, that it serves as an example of a path not well trodden, in the sense that it isn't the regular path. There nobody's life is a regular path, but there are many societal milestones that aren't mine to achieve. There are different things that I've had to achieve in my life that were different from what is expected from society. And I think that showing people the fact that my joy wasn't taken away, my peace wasn't taken away, and that I was still happy to be able to carve a path that other people could look at and say, wow, that's equally amazing, or that's equally inspiring, or that's equally impactful or fruitful or meaningful, is enough for me to have left behind. So my legacy is, did I make this place a slightly better place than I found it? That would be amazing. Was I able to show people an alternate way of living that is equally meaningful? That would be amazing. So that's where my thought process is, and then I still have a lot to do.
Wow. Yes, absolutely. And you will do it. And so tell us, thinking back to your dissertation defense, but don't worry, you've already passed. How do you envision yourself applying your research to your current role?
So I don't my current role may not be the most ideal place for the research to be applied, and always made that very clear to the advisors, etc. But I do believe that portions of it or pieces of it can be applied to up and coming Asian women leaders, or other women leaders from that are our students, basically. And so things like understanding that there is emotional labor that is put upon, inadvertently onto women in a workplace, that is, invisible and not acknowledged as much, is something they need to be aware of. And then what do you do with it, or how do you get acknowledged for it? That might be things that we can start talking to people about. Another thing that I would definitely, and I've always done it with or without the research, is for people to know how to self-advocate, to advocate for themselves, because this is required. It just is. Not everybody is going to find the right sponsor or the right mentor at the right time at every stage of their life. So you've got to be able to advocate for yourself, because in some cases it is almost relentless self advocacy that gets you from one place to another. And I'm not talking about climbing ladders or anything. I'm just saying simple opportunities. To this date, I do have to do it, but I do it in a manner that is respectful, that I pick and choose the places I need to do my advocacy in, and other places I don't anymore. But people who are starting out, who are just going to go out into the working world from our institutions, must have at least a sense of the things that they will potentially face, because it is not a magical society. It is not perfect. It is those realities of losing an opportunity because of a certain kind of a thing that is beyond your control, be it your race or your gender or your ability, whatever, are things that happen. And so how do you cope with it? What do you do with it? How do you continue to forge ahead are the things that we can, you know, talk about. Now, in other cases, when if I can remove the word current role from your question, I'm looking for ways to publish and speak about my research at different avenues, you know, on my own time and in my own
Yes.
cost, because I think there are ways and places to continue to put this ahead. I'm very proud of something that I had talked about in the research, which is creating a rubric in our, you know, formal performance protocols that recognize relational leadership, you know, that talk about relational values as a form of performance. Because if you and I are going to be judged every year on our performance, then why not put something into the system that, you know, is something that goes widely unrecognized. So I'm going to talk about these things in other spaces, and that's the way I look at taking, you know, applying the research or moving it forward in some way.
Yes. And the comment about speaking and publishing, stay tuned, everyone. We have things that we've discussed that are in the works, ways that our impact will be shared with the world beyond this incredibly insightful interview. With that, for anyone inspired by this interview, how can they connect with you?
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to give you my LinkedIn, and Tadra, you've got my LinkedIn. You can certainly share that with people. And I think that's the best way because I'm very active on LinkedIn. So I think if they want to get in touch with me, they can write me a message and they can say they were a viewer on your show or they found this link, and then I can share my personal information. So LinkedIn would be absolutely amazing and easy for me to even be able to contact someone very quickly.
To conclude this incredibly insightful, inspirational, and motivational interview, what takeaways should viewers leave with?
Thank you. And I'll have to repeat a few things I'd said in the past in one of your other questions because I was thinking about how, you know, what messages people can take. One is to live in awareness, you know, to really live in awareness, to see, you know, what conversations are you part of, what conversations are coming your way, what people are coming your way. Listen to your intuition. That really matters because that really is how I've managed these last few years. Awareness leads to recognizing opportunities and challenges, both in terms of people and places that you need to stay or you need to leave. That's important. Do not compete with others. Your journey is unfolding in its own time and its own way, and trust it, treasure it, honor it. And I think that's a very authentic way to live. And above all, be grateful because no matter what, there's someone worse off than you in this world. So I live from a place of awareness and gratitude on a daily basis. And this may sound like a sermon, but it's not because it's truly the way I live and it's really made a difference in my life. And that is how I've been able to complete this journey and be in a space that allows me to make a difference in a far more authentic way than I ever could have.
Dr. Karkare, this has been an honor. It has been a pleasure. I cannot thank you enough for sharing your insight with the world because I've been blessed to receive your insight for the past 3 years.
Thank you.
With that being said, I'm Dr. Lett I'm Dr. Lett the podcast. Thank you everyone. Please connect.
Thank you.